Here is yet another major change that the CFA Institute is making, and if you are a college or university student, this might be very good news for you. The CFAI just announced that they are opening up the CFA exams to any college or university student who has 2 years or less remaining in their degree. This change is going to bring in younger CFA candidates than ever before, and most importantly, allow for the bulk of the CFA program to be completed while still in college or university. That's definitely going to help on a resume. We're also going to need to talk about why the CFA Institute is even making this change. Quick hint, the very last sentence in their press release when they announced this gives us that exact answer. I think this change is generally good. If you are someone who totally knows that you're going to work in the finance field and you are very confident that the CFA program is going to apply to the types of roles you'll be working in, it can really only benefit you having the ability to enroll in a CFA exam sooner than you used to be. And if you don't know, the level 1 CFA exam has always been open to university students, but I think you just had to show that you were in your final year of studies, and you could never sign up for the level 2 exam while still in college or university, and now you can. There are a couple qualifiers that you should seriously consider here though. I already mentioned the first one, which is that you are certain that finance is a career path that you want to pursue, because it would be a shame to spend the thousands of hours needed to study for and pass all 3 CFA exams and then go into engineering or something like that. But also importantly, you want to make sure you have a firm handle on your schedule as a college or university student, and specifically, you have enough time in your schedule to allow for, say, 3 hours of additional studying every single day for like 6 months. Now, if you're looking for specific study schedules, watch some of my other videos about that. But the point is, the CFA program is a major time commitment. For me personally, the single most time-consuming commitment I've ever made in my life. It can certainly still work because I know that many college and university students do have extra time that they spend doing things other than studying, but some don't. And you need to know that 3 hours a day is a pretty typical study schedule during a major chunk of the year that you would need to devote to something like this. Just be aware, it might work well for you and you might be able to start pursuing your level 1 studies like maybe during your sophomore year of college to take the test during your junior year, and that would really expedite things. We've yet to see the exact interpretation of the CFA Institute on this rule though. What they put out in the press release today was that you need to be in the final 2 years of your undergraduate program. Now, some programs are not that linear. Sometimes there's trimesters, and so 2 doesn't make all that much sense. Sometimes you can take a semester off, you travel abroad maybe, and that counts for like some credits, but not all. Sometimes people only take a handful of credits and then like 21 the next semester. I don't know exactly how the 2 years left thing will be administered. I imagine if you tried hard enough, there'd be a little bit of wiggle room here. I'm not saying you should do that because it's probably not advisable to start studying for CFA exams when you're like a freshman in college. There's just too much that can still change in your life. You might decide to pursue a different career path. But again, if you know that this change is going to be helpful for you personally, the 2 years thing is probably up to how you submit your documentation to the CFAI. You'll have to see how that gets implemented exactly. Now, what I'm sure many of you are thinking, and what I know the first question I asked myself was, why the heck are they even doing this? I have an opinion that seems to align with what that answer looks like, but also anecdotally, I mentioned to one of my coworkers today that the Institute was now opening up enrollment to university students 1 year sooner, and his comment instantly was, wow, they are really hurting for new candidates. And honestly, it's sort of clear to me that that is exactly what the Institute is doing here. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but they're trying to tap into an additional part of the market that they think there could be some interest in their program from. So I'm going to read what that pretty direct answer was from the Institute in their press release. They said that you can be assured we will continue to evolve the CFA program to meet the needs of the market, to ensure our relevancy to practitioners and employers, and to maintain a leadership position in the industry. Now, if you follow this channel, you know that in 2 of my more recent videos, I've talked about how it's looking like enrollment for the CFA programs is on the decline. It's pretty clear in my mind that the Institute is aware of this and they're just going, hey, where can we get some additional candidates from? Probably some college or university students are interested in it, but are currently restricted by the rule set we have, so we're gonna expand the availability. The word relevancy in that press release is really what tips me off. They're saying they wanna remain relevant, meaning They need people in the program. It is what it is. They're going to expand it to offer it to more people so that they can have more candidates, which might be okay. And honestly, my next thought after reading this release was that I bet the Institute has some type of plan of action that involves increasing the accessibility to their exams to allow for more candidates to take it next year, assuming the enrollment numbers are actually much lower than normal, right? So maybe they have like this 5-tiered checklist of things that they can start to offer to increase enrollment, where expanding to university students is number one, and they're like, oh shoot, enrollment's down, we're gonna check this box, we're gonna now make this happen. And then maybe in 2 months from now, if enrollment doesn't pick up, it's going to be, we're gonna let you pay your registration fee and exam fee on a monthly subscription or something like that to make the cost more accessible. I could just see them implementing different measures to make the exams easier to take. With that being said, I do believe that there could be some potential downsides to this expanded eligibility, and it mostly just comes in the way of the perception or the perceived prestige of this program. And that public perception is very important to uphold. Of course, there's nothing categorically wrong with allowing a 1 year younger person to now take your exam. It's not that big of a difference. But the perception is that this thing is more accessible, it's more friendly, it's being modernized, and all of those things to me feel like the exams are going in a direction that diverges from the reputation and maybe the prestige that they've held for the past 50, 60, 70 years. The point there could be a bit confusing if you haven't taken these tests before, but you just need to try to understand what enrolling and studying for CFA exams, and especially taking those exams, what that really feels like. Because I've described it many times in the past, and I totally believe this to be true, as an academic gauntlet, as a battle with your own will to study as much as humanly possible in the pursuit of passing one single test. When they used to be all in-person, paper-based, and on the same day exams, going into that exam center, usually the first or the second Saturday in June of each year, just felt like a major undertaking. It had this aura of significance that I know many of other people have felt as well, because I've read forum posts about this. The inaccessibility, the difficulty to even take the test. In some countries, you need to fly to the city where your exam center is the day before, get a hotel, prepare that night just to be able to go take the thing. The process that it took to study for a whole year, knowing that if you fail, you need to wait another year to take it again. For the level 3 exam, literally handwriting so many answers that you feel like you're in a sprint for 3 hours during the AM section to try to get that done. All of that has changed. The exams are done on computers now. You type answers in. The 3-hour windows are a pretty good amount shorter. You can take the exams more often. And now with this change, you can take it earlier on in college. So as all of these changes get implemented, along the way, slowly but surely, I do feel that the Institute will lose, or has already lost, some element of what it once was. I wouldn't describe it anymore as an academic gauntlet to go in and take it. Now it feels much more like any other exam that you might take in your life at a prometric test center, which is where you do these things. If I'm right, and the prestige is dwindling a bit, what negative implications will that have? Well, ultimately just might not be seen as quite the challenge it once was to future employers. They're not really changing the academics of the program. You still have to study a lot of great information, so it's certainly still a valuable tool and body of work for becoming a highly educated financial analyst. But at the end of the day, we all know that the educational component is, for most people, only like half of the attraction to the CFA program. It's also largely the letters and the prestige, like I've been saying, that comes with those letters. Tell me what you think in the comments down below. Maybe I'm way off base and these changes that they're implementing are just friendlier for a good reason, and they're not going to involve any of the negative impacts that I'm thinking they could. But I have a feeling that most of you will agree with me, so we'll see. We'll see what you think, and we'll also be looking closely to see what future changes the CFAI decides to implement. The last really big point about this availability to people with still 2 years left in their undergrad program is you're going to get a lot of 21-year-olds now. Here in the US, you start college when you're 18. 18, 19, the first part of your junior year, probably 20, and you usually turn 21 during that junior year. So my point is, where historically only 22-year-olds could be in CFA exams, you may have people taking a CFA test on their 21st birthday. And that's important because that means they're going to be pounding liquor during their exam sitting, just inevitably. Expanding the demographic to 21st birthday celebrators means that at these prometric test centers, they're just gonna have to be okay with people nearly passing out, probably blacking out while still finishing the later part of their exam, and then potentially passing out completely, falling asleep on their keyboard. It's not necessarily a bad thing. You'll just need to have like puke buckets next to each computer chair at the prometric centers because, yeah, 21st birthday celebrators are going to be rampant in these exam centers now, and I totally welcome it. And I think the CFAI does as well. It's been noted to be a part of their mission to train the best partiers in all of the business world, and finance people are known to be usually at the top of that food chain. So hats off to the CFAI for allowing this type of wonderful celebration during their exams and actually encouraging it with this change.